I don't know if either of you have eligibility left, but did either of you think, hey, you know what? I can suit up, like I'll jump in a game or two, and then I'll be living this thing.
So funny. We like talked about that exact thing like 100 times out there. So I think Trent does still have some eligibility left. So
Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm talking to Trent Ubben and Jack Jensen, the directors of Amongst the Trees, which premiered at the Palm Springs International Film Festival. I'm going to talk to them right now. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. Helps me out a lot. Thank you. All right, so thanks so much for joining me today. I've got Trent Ubben and Jack Jensen, the directors of Amongst the Trees, which premiered at the Palm Springs International Film Festival. It is a documentary about a small California community college that has a lot of talent, a lot of heart, and is changing people's lives. It is an interesting documentary. It has some great scenery. It is amongst the Joshua trees, which is fun, and also these like trees of men, these like gigantic athletes. It is a heartfelt sports documentary. So I'm really excited to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank
likewise,
you.
thank you.
It's a great summary. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah.
So, first question. How did you get involved in this? Like, I don't know if either you went to this college or just kind of like for following the team. How did you kind of find the story? And whoever feels called to answer, I don't know the background here. So whoever wants to answer, feel free.
Super random. Just like one late night searching, looking if Trent and I both play a lot of pickup basketball. We're doing some rec leagues out here, and I think went out to a trip in the desert, and we're like, I wonder if they play pickup basketball out here. So just started looking late one night if there was any courts. I thought it could be awesome to maybe shoot a short film with a hoop out in the middle of the park, which led me to an article from the Desert Sun about this small little school that had started a basketball program. They had no other sports, and I kind of looked into it. I found one of the kids' Instagram accounts, and their stuff was hilarious. And then just kind of went from there. It was really interesting, super organic, and then reached out to them. Trent and I thought we could go out there with a couple guys and cameras and just kind of film some stuff and see what happens. And then ended up, landing in this family out there, and this story kind of, revealed itself when we got out.
That is so random. I thought maybe like, the film kind of starts talking about this big victory that the school had against a California team. I thought maybe that was what kind of drew it, but it sounds like I don't know. Were you filming them before this happened, or was it just kind of like in the middle of this season? Like what is the timing when you kind of started following them, and then when the events of the film actually happened?
To Jack's point, I mean, literally, they had won that game, and I think that's what inspired us to realize, like, man, this is a very unique thing that there's this school this small that's this good. We
Mhm.
have to go see what this is about. And luckily, when we reached out to them, they were very gracious and kind of let us in to see what was going on. So from a timing perspective, it was, we had really only been talking to them, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, for maybe a few weeks before we started filming there. And so
Yeah.
we sort of dropped in and just started literally the film. You see the experience at the very end of their season during kind of more or less that final week. That's we dropped in right there and started filming, and that's the story that we told.
That makes
Yeah, it
perfect
all
sense.
felt
Yeah.
kind of like the kid in the candy store a little bit because Trent and I work a lot with like a lot of professional athletes and like their teams. So just with access or time, and then so I think we were really used to like, okay, maybe we'll get a couple hours with them, maybe they'll let us see a game, and realized, oh right, we're in community college basketball in the middle of nowhere, and they were like, jump in the huddle, like if you want to get on the court while we're playing, okay, sounds great. So I think we were just like, this is incredible out here. There's so much to see, so much to do.
So did
Yeah,
either of you, I don't know if either of you have eligibility left, but did either of you think, hey, you know what? I can suit up, like I'll jump in a game or two, and then I'll be living this thing.
So funny. We like talked about that exact thing like 100 times out there. So I think Trent does still have some eligibility left. So
yeah. I
maybe,
have I have
maybe.
four. I have eligibility left because I never played in college, so I'm sure I could jump in if someone would wanted me, but I doubt that would be the case. So
Just like Darius, you got 4 years. Just go
there you go,
enjoy it.
man.
That's the sequel to this movie. You can be
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
like really amongst
So
the trees. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
what
Living
an
in the
a
trees.
very
incredible
unexpected
sequel, by the
sequel.
way. That's
Yeah,
such a good story idea.
Yeah, there you go.
hilarious.
A little bit of documentary, a little bit of Jackass. They'll kind of like fit right together.
Very meta. Very
Yeah,
meta.
exactly. So I was curious, yeah, how did you get buy-in from the players and coaches? But it sounded like they were just really excited, excited to have someone come out and tell their story and kind of interact with them. It sounds like that buy-in happened really, really quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
I was gonna say Trent always talks about like we can in our we connect really well with athletes immediately. I think we kind of disarm any feeling like they don't I don't they realize we're not trying to take advantage of a story. We're there for them. I think we found a bunch of kids that almost felt they were bursting at the seams to tell their story. I mean, they were out in the middle of nowhere, and I think even some of their friends didn't know they were hooping. There wasn't a lot of coverage on it outside of the town, so I don't know if it's because they were used to just filming themselves on TikTok a ton, but they were excited immediately to tell us. So I think Trent can add on, but I feel like we connected with everyone really quickly. And then the coaches were like the same age as us, and so I think that all kind of we had similar backgrounds athletically. They knew where we were coming from, and I felt that authentic connection pretty quickly.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I mean,
sorry,
yeah,
go ahead, Trent.
all I was gonna say is I don't have much to add to that, but to Jack's point, I think we just have a kind of innate ability to understand the mindset of an athlete, on a basketball team in particular. And like you said, those coaches were our age, so I think they understood pretty quickly that we work with a lot of athletes. We want to try to give them a platform, so they were totally all in pretty quickly.
Yeah, and to your point about how they're like burst at the seams, I think it was Boyles or Volks when he like took the film crew to like do his pregame, haircut. Like he even mentioned
Yeah,
like he felt like Hollywood, like he felt like this was they were following him. He was the star of this show, so it definitely felt like these kids. A lot of them had big past, and then something happened, and now they're kind of essentially in obscurity. So definitely, I can imagine them wanting to have this type of connection, this type of ability to tell their story was a driving factor for them.
for sure. Yeah, I mean Dylan especially. Like you mentioned that scene, he was, he's an amazing kid. I think we really loved his story a lot, and that's why we kind of featured it so heavily in the film. But I think part of this, and at least in my mindset, was I felt like a lot of these kids, it was sort of a vindication of sort of the story that they deserved to have been told about them. Like when you watch the beginning of the film, you kind of hear this little smattering of just a lot of the kids' backgrounds, and you kind of quickly understand like that you never know like the path life's going to take you on, and for these kids it led them out to the middle of nowhere in this desert, trying to kind of figure out where their life was going to take them from there. And so I think for us it was very fulfilling to get to give them that platform and tell their story that no one else probably would have heard
Yeah,
if
exactly.
not.
And
Yeah,
I thought one of the most interesting things I thought was Coach Kelly. Like his story was fascinating because like it just felt so unfair that what was it? I think 2004 he was caught with marijuana, and that was a big deal back then. And like these
yeah,
days it'd be like yeah, slap on the wrist, maybe I'll do some community service and you can still get recruited. But that was like he became persona non grata. He had to kind of like forge a different path. So that was interesting too, kind of like seeing his experience and what led him to CMC versus some of the other players and the things that happened to them that caused them to kind of matriculate down.
Yeah,
yeah.
DK is amazing too, and
Mhm.
he's always positive. He's always grinding. He's always hustling, and now he's training NBA players on the side too. So he's incredible. And then he's an amazing basketball athlete himself. So I think he really personifies that entire feeling out there that things are going to happen in your life. Things are going to go wrong, even if you do everything right. But you got to get back up. You got to wake up in the morning and get out there and do it. So I think he did that from enterprise to getting that, the job at CMC with Walter to then figuring out everything else. Like he just keeps going, and him and Tani and Walter all kind of had that attitude. It was really incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love that, I guess this probably happens a lot, but I love that these coaches kind of had similar stories to the athletes that they are selling. It probably helps them connect with them and helps them kind of like build that trust when they're like, look, I know what you're going through. Like I had the same experience and this is kind of how I turned my life around. And hopefully, we can instill that with you as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
So the next question, I think you kind of already answered. I was asking, like, I was going to ask, have you followed the team since this documentary? But it sounds like you're still in contact with BK. You're probably still in contact with a lot of them. Like, have you followed CMC or the players in their career trajectory since this documentary?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they right after this film, not right after, but shortly after we filmed this, COVID happened. So there was kind of a natural break and difficulty in terms of continuing the story and continuing kind of what they had been doing while we were filming them. So there was a bit of a kind of a break period there. We were always in contact with them. In the film, you see we go back 2 years later.
Mhm.
They're both still there grinding at that time. A few of the players have gone on. A few of the players in this film that were on the team at that time have gone on to, play various levels of D1, D2. A couple of them, I think, are gearing up to go play in Europe right now. And Malcolm, I believe, had a brief stint with the Harlem Globetrotters. So they'd all kind of moved on and continue to shape their lives in a positive way. And we're still great friends with all of them, and still kind of a little family.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then on
Yeah.
the CMC thing, I was just saying, we haven't currently followed like their current trajectory. We're in touch with some of the folks still at the school, but to Trent's point, when that team graduated and kind of kept moving on, we felt like that was the main story.
Yeah, for sure. And that was like the one thing I wanted most from this. I wanted like an epilogue, and you kind of started to get it, but I was curious. I wanted to know like what happened to the players. Like, where'd they go? Did they make their dream? And I don't know, maybe a future cut of the film. You could have like, so and so went to X, Y, and Z. Because I always love that with true stories, right? Like any sort of true story, seeing like what happened in the aftermath. But
It's definitely been in discussion. So yeah, we're considering it for sure.
Good feedback. Yeah, it's not out live yet, so yeah, that's a good.
Yeah. You're not the first person to have that feedback.
Yeah.
All right, so I know we have limited time. I'm going to switch to, I call it the lightning round. They're just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the movie. You can feel free to skip any of them. I won't be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable.
Okay.
First question: have either of you dated your friend's sibling?
No.
Jack, I didn't hear your answer.
No.
Okay.
And not to my memory, at least. I mean,
excellent.
I don't think so.
Next question: what do you think of Joshua trees?
I think they're amazing. They're super unique and cool.
It's my favorite plants on the planet, I think.
That is good promotion. I like that. But also, I loved BK's like very candid answers to some of that stuff. He's like, I thought they looked like the dumbest plant in the world. Like, I thought that was a great way to start this whole thing, because they're so iconic. If you're from California, you know what they are. But probably if you're not from California, like, what is this weird like prickly plant that looks like a tree that's already died? So
yeah, absolutely.
I guess he's from Virginia, so for him, it's like this is the moon right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did either of you play college sports?
I was a track and field athlete at University of Oregon.
Nice.
I was an intramural tournament champion in basketball at the University of Kansas.
I mean,
keyword intramural.
I mean, I feel like that the caliber of athlete that is even intramural at the University of Kansas is probably very good, just given their basketball history. So, yeah.
Your words, not mine.
How are you all at basketball? Sounds like you're good enough. You play pickup games. I know pickup games in LA can be very intense. So it sounds like you're both probably pretty good at basketball.
We'll do I'll describe Trent. You can describe it. Trent, great basketball player, shooter, big offensive player, and then just a crafty guy. He was a star player in high school in Kansas.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess Jack, very much I would say a power slasher. Likes to drive to the basket. A lot of spin moves. Very strong. Jack's about 6'3", very athletic. Was a high jumper. I think we both bring a reasonable degree of competence to the basketball court. We didn't play D1 basketball. Jack, I think you got close to playing at Oregon. You were in,
yeah. But we still play a lot of rec basketball now, so it's definitely like a passion for both of us. That's how Trent and I met initially. Actually, it was just playing basketball in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
very nice.
We can play.
I assume you like we're like paired up against each other, and one of you fouled, and then like that's where the respect started happening. After that initial like hatred, you started to respect each other, and then begrudgingly became friends. Is that how it works?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, we were both working at an agency, and we're the only two people that could competently play basketball. So I think we kind of in the game, we were like, all right, I got one.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I played in some leagues where none of us can play basketball, so it's very much just a give it to anyone, put it up and see if it goes in. So that is definitely important to have at least a couple. Just not well, but I'm tall enough that it looks like I can play. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's cool too.
Getting out there. That's all.
Exactly. All I do is I practice my free throw, so I can at least get on the team, and then after that, that's whatever happens.
That's awesome.
Fundamentals.
Do either of you have any like pregame rituals or things that you do? Certain songs, certain meals, whatever.
Just
No,
no,
I don't.
old man stretching at this point.
I'm
I'm making sure to
usually
limber up.
I'm usually I usually show up about 5 minutes before the game starts. So these days, so I don't have any rituals anymore.
Perfect. And old man stretching is the most important thing, right? Like if you want to keep playing, you got to do that old man stretch. It is,
I've been
it is
preaching
the
this
most
to Trent for
fundamental.
years.
Yeah.
Very key.
Are either of you sneakerheads?
I think, yeah,
Uh-oh.
Jack is definitely, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't have that level. Well, actually, you know what? I got some.
All right.
Yeah.
There
Very
you go.
nice.
So yeah, we both over the years also kind of naturally have acquired a lot of sneakers via our day job, shooting commercials with athletes and sports brands. So that's another part of it. But I think
Gosh,
we
that's
both have a passion for sneakers.
the
Have
price
you
you
ever
pay
beat
for
me
your
yet?
work, right? The price you pay for your art.
That's tough, man. It's tough.
Are you a big sneakerhead?
No. But I did take up running this year, so I have a bunch of running shoes that are in various stages of disrepair. But
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
Cool.
it is bad because like I imagine it's the same with basketball shoes. Now it's like, well, these are my like race shoes because they're really good, but they're gonna fall apart, and these are my like training shoes because they're more durable, but I don't like them as much. Yeah, it's
Yeah. I justify them to my wife. I'm like, these are my Tuesday night shoes. These are my Wednesday day shoes.
well,
Yeah.
it's just research. Like, how are you going to connect to these young athletes if you can't
Amen.
talk the sneaker
Yeah.
talk, right?
Running's tough, man. That's not my thing. I applaud you for that.
It wasn't my thing either, but
Yeah,
I guess I'm stubborn. I kept doing it. So,
cool.
the next question is: can either of you dunk?
Well, I used to be able to for sure. I can't really anymore. Probably haven't tried in a while. Jack can still, I believe. So
I can. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like this is the best question I've ever been asked in my life.
I was waiting to hear that.
It's yeah. I can. It seems to be the only point of pride I talk about to people. So thank you for
I
asking.
mean, like that is a big point of pride. Like if you can just get up there and tomahawk dunk it, like that's all you gotta do. And then that's the highlight of the entire game. So
I'm only about
the,
6 foot tall, so once you pass the age of 30, it starts to get really difficult.
I was gonna say, I think the tomahawk portion of that sentence left me in my 20s, but I could still get up there a little bit.
that's still awesome. And the last question is, how loud are you at games? Are you a heckler? Are you just at this point, are you just a fan that watches? Like what is your level of aggression at games?
I would I will answer for both of us. Maybe you can correct me, Jack, but I think we're both kind of reasonable, subdued fans. We like at their games, for example. Obviously, we're filming, but I think I stick to kind of a clap and an occasional raised voice. That's about the degree of my fandom in the stands.
Yeah, I try to operate on the "we've been here before" mentality.
Yeah, I don't yell at the refs. I know everyone's got a hard job out there, so.
That is both respectable. I don't know if I believe you, Jack, because you went to the University of Oregon, and I know that those fans are hit or miss. So maybe you're
I'm with you there,
That's
David.
Yeah.
Don't judge me on that alone. That's
Yeah.
but yeah.
Hey, look, if
hear you.
I wish that my school could pay as much as your school was because your team is really good. So
They are
Hey,
good.
look, we got to get a championship however we can. So
I know. I mean, I don't want them to, but I think Phil will probably get that championship before he dies. I mean,
who's your squad?
USC. So
Okay.
Oh, man.
we should have been better this year, and we traditionally are good. We just haven't been recently. So
I would think that watching games at the Galen Center and the Coliseum is about as cool as it gets in sports. So
yeah,
that's an awesome school to go to.
yeah. I still haven't been up to Eugene, but it's on my bucket list. And now that we're both traditional Big Ten rivals, it'll be just another good.
What in the world is going on?
Cool. Yeah,
makes no sense at all.
Maybe Kansas will come in too. I mean, Kansas could be a Big Ten team.
I think we're still holding down the Big 12. I think the Big 12 still going strong. We just got Arizona.
Yeah. Arizona and Utah and Colorado and Arizona State. So
it's like we just sucked up half of the Pac-12.
Yeah, pretty much. It'll be a
So
weird world. But
mm-hmm.
And so speaking of that weird world, I'm sure you are now trying to tell other sports stories, other strange stories out there. What is next for both of you? Do you have any other projects in mind? Any other like obscure schools you're going to follow?
I mean, it's interesting. We both are pretty hybrid. We do a lot of commercial work, so we're working on a ton of that. And then I think we're both together and separately just developing projects. So, Trent could speak to it, but we definitely want to do more features. Trent really wants to do a series. So I think we're open and excited to just keep kind of developing work and tell it across that spectrum from, small commercial stories to all the way to more features and documentaries.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, perfect. I loved kind of the human element of this movie. I loved kind of the obscure nature of it. I would love to see more stories. And yeah, a series would be fantastic. Like you could follow each player and kind of how they got here and whatnot. That would be fantastic. So you can look forward to all of those in the future. But before that, check out Amongst the Trees. When it comes to your area, it is in the festival circuit. It premiered at the Palm Springs International Film Festival. But keep an eye out for it. This is Trent Ubben and Jack Jensen, the directors. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
That was Trent Ubben and Jack Jensen, the directors of Amongst the Trees, which premiered at the Palm Springs International Film Festival. It is a documentary that follows a very small California community college that has a ton of talent and a ton of heart and is changing people's lives. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.